Most people say that the system is against them, but the system isn't a villain. It isn't personal, it isn't emotional. A system is a structure, and a structure is simply a set of rules that rewards people, or rewards, has incentives, and also punishes. And it rewards predictability. And in order to have predictability, there has to be stability. And workplaces are systems, schools are systems, media systems, governments are systems, and none of it's based on how you feel. And in order to be removed from the system, it just requires you to be unpredictable. And the only way you are stable in a system is to be predictable. So it's not about how you feel, it's just about you matching the set of rules to stabilize the system and create stability so that you then can be predictable. And it's when people are unconventional or out the box or have no predictability or are reactive to set rules that they are removed from the system and begin to blame the system and make out like it's the villain. And the truth of the matter is, maybe this system isn't designed for who you are as a person. Systems are not designed for individuals, they're simply designed for predictability, for the general input that's going to be funneled and channeled through said systems. A lot of time, effort, and planning goes into building a system to ensure it has that predictability and stability, because without those two key elements, you can't call it a system. So, for somebody to approach a system emotionally reactive, who isn't regulated or moves unaware of the consequences, they're not classed as a dangerous individual. Like, you are no threat to the system. You are simply unstable. And as you are not stable and lack stability, the system is built to reject you. And whereas you would develop the understanding that the system is against you or the system failed you, it's that you haven't taken time to consciously raise your awareness of said system. So it makes sense if you are conscious about your decisions to know more, so you can maneuver and position if you choose to. You can ask yourself the question, because you get individuals who completely reject the system, and that's okay, because if you reject the system, you then have to analyze or ask yourself the question, if I'm not going to be systematic in this sense through this structure, what am I consciously doing strategically to ensure that I can be enabled in society, in life, as a person, to achieve my optimum performance and be the best version of myself? That's generally a difficult route to take, because you're anti-system, you're generally on your own, you're building by yourself, it's isolating, it's not for the faint-hearted people. Now, there's another direction you can take, where you can understand the incentives by studying the system, understand the punishments, be aware and knowing what it takes to go stable through the system. And even if that's more difficult for a particular kind of person than it would be another kind of person, it doesn't mean it's impossible. And it's important to be conscious, be awake, which is what I talk about, being grounded in yourself, being stabilized, being aligned. These are very important factors to help you regulate, to help you be more contained, and help you channel yourself through systems that maybe wasn't designed to fit who you are as a person. Maybe it's not for you, but just because something isn't for you doesn't mean that you can't navigate if you are strategic, knowing, conscious, and aware of how these systems are designed to put you in specific positions and to challenge you. But why be challenged if you can be conscious and knowing of these obstacles that you're going to face, and be equipped, be prepared to ensure you remain contained, so you're not emotionally reactive, so you're not punished to get consequences that you feel that you don't deserve, or to ensure that you're not put in positions to be pressured, to be forced into corners, when you can be aware. Like, situational awareness is a great aspect and skill and analysis that you can have. Emotions can cost you a lot. That's why it's expensive, because if I know what makes you angry, I can provoke you. If I know what offends you, I can destabilize you. If I'm aware that you seek approval, you want validation, or you want to belong, I can draw you out. So this is how emotions become expensive. This is why emotions is leverage to the opposition. And if you think of people who are very well contained and stable, these are the dangerous individuals, the people who you don't know what they tolerate, you don't know what their next move is, you can't read them. And that hesitation and that containment is what's dangerous about the person, because you can't read them in any way, you don't know what they're going to do. And this requires self-discipline. This is where inner mastery comes into play, because somebody isn't naturally contained that way in society or in a system. They have taken time, conscious movements to ensure they're enabled in this fashion or in this light. They have something that the average person doesn't have. And if you want to be extraordinary, this is the level of containment that you must have to operate in a system that is maybe to some degree designed to make certain individuals reactive, or certain individuals provoked, destabilized, or drawn out. But if you're contained, you can go through it better, or you can maneuver around it better. You can navigate in a fashion that's tailored to your life. And that's exactly what life's about. No system is designed for individualism. So if you can tailor who you are and be an individual in society, in systems, that's when you're dangerous, because you're authentically your own kind of person. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible if you commit to yourself. If you're here for the long term, if you want success, if you want to be a leader, if you want influence, if you want to achieve all these great things, you've got to be emotionally disciplined. You've got to be contained in yourself and get discipline around your emotions. And that for some is easier than others. Some people are less reactive naturally than others. And it's about knowing who you are and getting disciplined in your emotions to be quiet. Silence is power, especially in certain systems. Being quiet and contained is much better than being emotionally loud, emotionally reactive. That's when you're unstable. It's about stabilizing and aligning you. Don't mistake containment for suppression, because containment is more about being deliberate in your moves. It's about, if somebody insults you or if a scenario occurs, it's making the conscious next step that serves you purpose over them. It's about being less reactive. It's about knowing what you're doing rather than going through the system of predictability. And although systems reward predictability, they also respect restraint. And maybe being restrained in certain scenarios, you may feel suppressed, but if you're contained, you've always got that protection to self-regulate, to be self-aware, to analyze and ensure that you're in control of the power dynamic. Because once you lose that, you lose control. And when you lose control, you then are unstable, then you're dangerous, then you're rejected. So containment isn't suppression. It isn't about being conformed. It's about ensuring that you keep the power dynamic in the system. That don't mean you're powerful, let's not get delusional, but it's just about you and how you're operating. So containment isn't suppression, it's being deliberate in your approach to life. And when you have that dynamic in a system, it's respected. So now you're not predictable, but you're respected, because that uncertainty, that containment that you have is powerful. So now for you, in yourself, in your own little lane, you've got that power dynamic. Emotion itself is human, but reaction without regulation is surrender. You are given a person or a system, a manual of how to operate you. That's why emotions are expensive. Get contained.